2,742 days ago, I downloaded Fortnite and played my first ever match. By some crazy fate, I captured the moment on camera. I'm downloading Fortnite. Chapter 1, Season 1, Level 1. The beginning of a 7-year journey that would unknowingly change my life and millions of others gamers' lives forever. But at the time, this was Season 1. The daily item shop looked like this, and there was no battle pass, only the season shop where you could buy what are now known as the rarest cosmetics in the game. And there was one game mode you could play: Battle Royale. The funny thing is, I thought this game was so boring. I grew up mainly playing Call of Duty, so Fortnite felt way too slow paced for me until my friends started to play it too. I soon realized Fortnite was way more fun to play with friends, and by Season 2, I was addicted. I was going for funny highlight plays jumping off buildings, and this was my first ever real clutch, going up against a 1v4. In 2025, you'd assume these were actual AI bots, but in 2018, these were all real players. Everyone just sucked because we were all brand new to the game. Most of the time, nobody actually placed builds at all, and on February 19th of 2018 is when I got my first ever recorded win. I sniped this player with a minigun, then it took me about 5 seconds to build 2 walls and a stair because of course I was on Combat Pro. I pushed up to this tree and it was a 1v3. 2 shots on this player and a flick over for a 3rd shot, and the Victory Royale screen pops up. The game froze you in place, the lobby music started playing, and just like that, it's now Season 3. There was no update day trailer, everything looked so simple, and this was one of my favorite seasons ever. Camping to get wins is what everyone was doing. Double pumping was a skill only the best players knew how to do, and this was considered a sweaty build fight. At this point, I was playing Fortnite every single day, and I was improving pretty quickly. Of course, creative and even playground modes didn't exist yet, so the only way to practice was to actually play. And by the end of Season 3, still on Combat Pro, playing on my PS4, I was getting pretty good compared to the average player. This is also when I decided to start a YouTube channel to post my gameplay. After Season 3, we got our first ever summer season with Season 4. A meteor hit Dusty and turned it into a divot, and shotguns were still insanely powerful, with green pumps hitting for 225 damage. In Season 4, I finally made the switch to Builder Pro, and this is the first big change in Fortnite that made everyone a lot better. Builder Pro made building way more simple, and as a result, build fights became way more common. Every game now, I was getting in at least one build fight, and every time we won, it was super exciting. Again, bots didn't exist, so the only way to win these games was to beat 99 other real players, and sometimes you'd go days without winning a single game. But with me playing non-stop over the past 3 seasons, I was usually good enough to carry my team to victories and even get some highlight plays along the way. And then came Season 5, a season that would change everything. I remember at the very beginning of Season 5, I hit this clip and got it on BCC trolling, which the real OGs know about that. And Season 5 also brought the first ever new biome to Fortnite, with the desert taking over, and the victory screen was revamped to what we still know it as today. But the biggest change this season was me ordering an attachment that added 2 back paddles onto my PS4 controller. Now I could jump and edit without taking my thumbs off the sticks, and it did suck at first because I had to learn a brand new way to play, and creative didn't exist. So learning paddles took me weeks of playing every single day to finally get comfortable using them. But once I did, I got so much better, just in time for Season 6. By now, I'd been learning paddles for over a month, and everything from my movement to my builds to my aim was getting better. I played in one of Fortnite's first ever tournaments, even getting a win in it, and from this clip alone, you can see how quickly my skill was progressing after getting paddles. Even on over 80 ping, I was putting in work, and that YouTube channel I started in Season 3 was also getting some recognition from playing with the paddles. Towards the end of Season 6, Fortnite added a crazy feature, giving every single player infinite glider redeploy, which made W-keying and build fighting even more common. We had Loot Lake exploding in a live event, and I was grinding my mechanics in Playground, getting better and better every single week. And now it was Season 7, one of the most fun and chaotic seasons of all time. This brought a whole winter biome to the map along with airplanes, which if you played back then you know they were really fun to use, but a nightmare to play against. Combined with the Polar Peak Mythic Infinity Blade in turrets, this was the first season where sometimes it wasn't even fun to play Battle Royale, but that might have been by design, because in Season 7, Fortnite added creative mode. For the first time ever, you could have infinite builds, make your own custom maps to play with friends, and even 1v1. Now, even with the planes, turrets, and sword, I still had a ton of fun this season. I was on winter break off school, I was playing better than I'd ever played before, and Fortnite was trying some interesting things, like this tournament where you could edit other players' builds. I, of course, attended Fortnite's first ever Marshmallow concert, and those 1v1s in creative were becoming even more popular. But in creative, there was no public matchmaking yet, so to 1v1 someone, it had to either be a friend or you found them on Discord to play against. This constant build battle practice led to a huge skill increase across the top players during Season 7, and by the end of it, I set my kill record, getting 22 elims in a single game. Then the volcano grew, and we had Season 8. By this point, I'd been playing so many 1v1s that the skill gap between me and the average player was increasing, and it was pretty normal for me to go drop a high kill solos win. Now, I was still not a pro by any means. There were still a ton of players better than me, especially because I was playing on 60 to 80 ping every single game, but I became addicted to 1v1s. Unless my friends were online to play, I spent basically all of my time in creative because I had the most fun watching my skill level continue to rise. And then when I did play with my friends, it was even better because I could carry my entire squad in some of these games. When Season 9 rolled around in the summer of 2019, it was a lot more of the same. I was still playing a lot with my friends, but if no one was online, then I was somewhere grinding and creative, and I made one huge change this season. I switched off hold to edit. Up until now, my switch mode and edit button were the same, so I had a slight delay on every single edit. But now I changed my switch mode to R3 and my edits were still on circle, making them instant, and that simple change made me even faster, and that's when the Fortnite World Cup happened. Watching the World Cup was the first time I realized the best players were all playing on PCs. I wasn't into watching pros very often, so I never realized how much better a PC performs compared to my PS4, and with how fast I was getting, I knew I wanted to upgrade to a PC soon. This recording of my stats from Season 9 really showed how much I actually played. I was grinding every single mode from solos to duos to squads, and remember, this was the day before bots. All of these wins were against real players. Then it was Fortnite Season 10, or Fortnite called it Season X. I only played one day of Season X on PS4 before I found a deal on a used PC for $450, and just like that, I was a PC player. Now, this was a low tier PC, but compared to my PS4 Slim, the difference in performance was insane. As soon as I plugged my controller into the PC, I got about twice as good, and I'm not even exaggerating. On PC now, I went from 60 FPS all the way to now 144 FPS, and even more important than that was the input delay. I never noticed it until I switched to PC, but on PS4 there was a slight delay when moving my stick to when my character would actually move in-game. But on PC, it's instant, and these changes made everything from my builds to my edits to even my aim a lot better. And then Season X ended, and we got the black hole where Fortnite was unplayable for 36 hours before Chapter 2 Season 1 dropped. This brought an entirely new look to Fortnite. There were new mechanics like swimming, new vehicles like boats, and on that little YouTube channel I started back in Season 3, I was finally able to record and edit videos on a PC, and the higher quality videos started to gain more traffic, even getting me 1,000 subscribers and monetize, meaning starting in 2020, I could actually make money from my videos. At the start, it was only around $100 per month for what was a lot of work, and it also took me over a year and a half of making Fortnite videos to even reach this point, but the idea of making any money from playing Fortnite was really exciting, and that's when March of 2020 happened. Chapter 2 Season 2. This was the season where the whole world was staying inside and Fortnite blew up again. There really wasn't anything else to do, so everyone was just gaming, and I was too, having a ton of fun playing with friends, and this continued all the way through Chapter 2 Season 3. Around this time, I was still playing with friends occasionally and grinding some wins, but the biggest reason why I grinded creative so much was my ping. During this time, I lived in Iowa, and central servers didn't exist yet, which meant I was basically right in between the west and east servers, and most of the time, I didn't get good ping to any of them. In my own creative server though, I always had around 40 ping, which made me so much better, but in any real games, I'd have over 60 ping, which really limited how good I could be. However, in Chapter 2 Season 4, that changed. A random update this season cut my ping in half, and that made me feel unstoppable. Playing on 30 to 40 ping in real games was something I'd never experienced before, but my ping was such a weird situation. Basically, every time Fortnite updated, it was a 50-50 on if I'd get to play on 40 ping or if I'd have to play on 70 ping. It was probably the most frustrating part about playing Fortnite for me, because at this point, players had gotten really good. Keyboard and mouse was taking over, and being on controller and 70 ping meant I really just couldn't compete against a good player on low ping, and I hated it. But throughout 2020, I was still posting videos and working on my YouTube channel, and by the end of the year, I'd gained over 15,000 subscribers and made almost $5,000 from YouTube. So when Chapter 2 Season 5 started, I used that money to buy my first ever new PC. It cost $2,000, which was a lot, but right away, I knew it was worth it. This PC was way smoother and way faster than my old one, and it made me want to grind even harder. When Chapter 2 Season 6 rolled around in March of 2021, I was as good as Fortnite as I had ever been. Sadly, this was one of those times when my ping spiked back up, which meant I couldn't play as many real games as I wanted to, but I fully embraced being a creative warrior. The other reason I wasn't playing as many games though was I started going to school online, and at this point I was working almost full time doing pest control. So the high ping combined with trying to make YouTube videos, go to school, and work full time, before I even realized it, I was going days without even touching Fortnite. After working for 8 hours and then coming home to do all my schoolwork, I'd be too tired to even play, but on my days off in the weekends, I was still grinding. Chapter 2 Season 7 started just as I went on summer break from school, and two huge things happened this season. The first is that I switched to playing on 4 paddles, which allowed me to get even better at fighting. And the second is that I started to find a groove on YouTube. In the middle of Season 7, I posted a video trying pros controller settings, and it absolutely blew up. By the time Chapter 2 Season 8 rolled around, I was cooking, both in Fortnite and on YouTube. I was still going to work every day, and my online school started back up, but I found a format of videos that people liked to watch. I was still hitting Champions League and Arena every season and decent at Fortnite, but this was the last season of Chapter 2, so the average player had now gotten pretty good, and the pros were now insane. With me being on 60 ping with not much time to play the game, my skill was starting to fall behind. But then it was Chapter 3, and this was the chapter that really changed everything. At my job, I was really busy during the summer, but during the winters in Iowa, I only worked 2 to 3 days per week. And Fortnite Chapter 3 released in December of 2021, so it was perfect timing. I only had 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, but my videos started getting a lot more views. In just 1 month, I made $3,481 from my videos, and then the next 3 months in a row, I made between $3,000 to $4,000 every single month. So when Chapter 3 Season 2 started, I quit my job and started working full time on YouTube. This had been a dream of mine for years, and I thought that if I could make that much money only working part-time on YouTube, then if I could play Fortnite more, get better at the game, and make more videos, I'd also be able to make way more money. But that wasn't really what happened. Instead, my videos got a little less views in March, and then even less views in April, and by May, I made under $2,000. For a full-time job, that was not enough, and I was starting to wonder if I had made a mistake by quitting my job, but I decided to stick with it, and in June of 2022, Chapter 3 Season 3 came out. By now, Fortnite had added NA Central servers, which were perfect for me, but they were still in Texas, really far away from Iowa. This meant that my ping was still in the 40s for most games, which isn't terrible, and at least I didn't have to worry about the East servers spiking back up to 70 ping. But it was kind of funny how badly I wanted to be on low ping and how I was just in the middle of all 3 servers getting bad ping to all of them. By the time Chapter 3 Season 4 came out, me sticking with YouTube was starting to pay off. During all of Chapter 1 Fortnite, my grind was primarily focused on actually getting better at the game, but ever since I got that PC in Season X, I cared more about my videos than I did actually playing Fortnite and getting better. So instead of grinding to improve my Fortnite skill, I shifted to grinding to improve my YouTube videos, and I was building momentum, gaining more views and more subscribers when Chapter 4 Season 1 dropped. Chapter 4 was actually a little unexpected because Chapter 1 lasted 10 seasons and Chapter 2 lasted 8 seasons. So for Chapter 3 to have only 4 seasons was crazy, but it was the perfect storm for me. With the momentum my YouTube was building throughout the last couple Fortnite seasons, a brand new chapter brought a ton of attention back to Fortnite and my videos started to go crazy. In just the first month after Chapter 4 launched, my videos made over $10,000 and I hit 100,000 subscribers. Then Chapter 4 Season 2 dropped and I was basically doing the same thing. By this point, I'd pretty much stopped following the Fortnite storyline, and honestly thinking back to these seasons, I hardly remember what was happening in the game. When you've been playing Fortnite for this long, everything just kind of blends together, but what I do remember is how good my videos were doing. Chapter 4 had been a blessing, and by this point my YouTube was making over $10,000 every single month, and I even built a brand new gaming PC with the best parts I could buy. In Chapter 4 Season 3, I finally made the switch from a Pro PS4 controller to now a Pro PS5 controller, and when I actually put in the time to grind Fortnite, I was still pretty good. I could still hit a lot of clips, I could still get PC, I could easily win games. I still had it. Now it was Chapter 4 Season 4, and Fortnite officially got rid of Arena and replaced it with Ranked. Ranked was the new hottest thing. We got progression screens, a ranked leaderboard, and hitting Unreal was now one of the most prestigious feats in the game. And I wanted to do all of it. I was playing Ranked a ton while making videos on it, and people were loving it. So when OG Fortnite returned and we got back the Chapter 1 map for an entire month, everyone was hyped, including me. Playing on the Chapter 1 map with the Chapter 1 weapons brought back so many memories, because that's when I was completely addicted to the game and grinding every single day. So to be back this many seasons later with my modern day skill on a new controller and a fancy PC that I just built with money I made from YouTube, it was a completely full circle moment, and it was also a brand new experience because the players were now really good, but the season was still so much fun, and then things got really crazy. Season OG brought back a ton of attention to Fortnite after it started dying in Chapter 4, and then after 1 month of Season OG, Fortnite dropped Chapter 5 Season 1. This spiked the Fortnite player count to over 4 times as many players as Chapter 4, and now Chapter 5 Season 1 was not only really fun to play, but people also loved to watch it. Every video I posted was getting hundreds of thousands, sometimes even over 1 million views, and my YouTube channel was growing faster than it's ever grown before. If you thought making $10,000 each month from Fortnite videos is crazy, well, these months during Season OG and Chapter 5 Season 1, it was over double that, and it was also one of the most enjoyable seasons I can remember. But then Fortnite did what they always do and followed it up with a lackluster Chapter 5 Season 2. The only thing really memorable about this season is the absolutely overpowered items, like this lightning bolt that shot through builds and snipers that had 3 shots in them before you had to reload. I honestly still had fun, but the overall Fortnite player base started to fall again, and then Fortnite decided to release the worst season of all time, Chapter 5 Season 3. Not only were snipers with 3 shots still in the game, but they also added Nitro Fist that could send you soaring off builds, a Nitro Boost that players could run through walls with, but also cars with attachments on them to run players over and shoot grenades out of, and not to mention 2 mythic cars that were basically impossible to beat. Some people might have found this season fun at first, but this season was nearly 3 entire months long. So about halfway through, it became unbearable to play, and Fortnite's player count was dropping rapidly. During Season OG in Chapter 5 Season 1, there were nearly 3 million players online at all times throughout the day, and by the middle of Season 3, this dropped 50%. That's when Fortnite pulled out the reboot card and dropped Fortnite Reload, a brand new mode with a smaller map, respawns, OG weapons and OG POIs, and way more action. With how bad the regular Battle Royale season was, Reload was a breath of fresh air, and it might have saved Fortnite from really dying. When Reload rank dropped, I instantly did an Unreal speedrun and became one of the first 276 people to ever hit Unreal in Reload, and then with the release of Chapter 5 Season 4, even more players were coming back. This was another Marvel collab season with some cool mythics and a couple new items like reinforced walls and jetpacks, and they chilled out a little bit on the cars, nerfing the HP and adding more counters. But they needed a bigger redemption. Season OG brought back Fortnite to peak numbers, so to close out Chapter 5, they brought back Season OG but Chapter 2 as a remix. If you remember, Chapter 2 was launched right before March of 2020, and Fortnite was super popular then, so everyone was really excited to play Chapter 2 again, and I was having fun with it as well. At this time, I had just moved from Iowa all the way to Arkansas, which put me over 500 miles closer to the central server, and for the first time ever, I had consistently low ping. In creative, I was now getting 0 ping, and even better than that, in real games, I was now getting under 20, sometimes even under 10 ping. I was now that low ping player I used to hate fighting against, and it made playing Fortnite so much easier. I could take almost every single wall, my builds and edits in game were so much smoother, and this is the ping I truly believe that if I had back in Chapter 1 and early Chapter 2, I could have been a pro on. It didn't work out like that though, and now I'm far behind the pros in skill level, but I still got to enjoy playing on low ping, and that didn't change when Chapter 6 dropped in December of 2024. This was an actually fun and balanced season with cool new items like the Void Mask, and on my low ping, I was playing as good as I'd ever played before. It's actually pretty crazy how much easier it makes Fortnite, and as a result, it makes it way more fun to grind as well. The proof in this is that I was the 85th player to hit Unreal in Chapter 6. But then in Chapter 6 Season 2, they just had to add some overpowered items. The shotguns this season were pretty bad. The Mammoth pistol is really fun to use, but it's too easy to hit shots with, and the sticky grenade launcher made fighting really boring. Despite this, I still hit Unreal rank pretty early, and then Fortnite tried a new way to keep the players entertained. Typically every chapter, players start to get bored by Seasons 3 and 4 because not that much changes, so instead of Chapter 6 Season 3, Fortnite dropped their first ever mini-season with Star Wars themed gameplay. It only lasted a month, and it was pretty boring for me to play personally, but that's what's great about also having Reload. If you don't enjoy the regular season, Reload has now started its own path of seasons, and throughout most of Chapter 6, I've honestly enjoyed playing Reload more. I find that Reload solos are more competitive, there's way more action, and most of the time the loot is actually more fun to fight with. But that leads us to Fortnite's most recent season, Chapter 6 Season 3. So far, I've actually really enjoyed this season. The new items are fun to fight with, and there's unique ways to use them. There's a lot of movement, and the superhero rank to unlock different loot throughout the game is pretty fun. We'll see where Fortnite goes next with the Simpsons mini-season later this year, Chapter 6 Season 4, and even Chapter 7 will be here before we know it. But these last 7 years of playing Fortnite and growing my YouTube channel has been a dream, and I thank all of you for following along and watching my journey.